this is the first time I can leave a legacy. I can dream about leaving a legacy for my son.
Yeah. That's so cool. That's so awesome.
Wherever you feel fear, that's where
You've got to become the person that will attract over 200 different cognitive biases.
The real work in any business is thinking.
Welcome to the FLW podcast. My name is Cody DeGraff, and I'm here with my co-host, Gabriel Klingman.
What is up? Welcome to the show. Today, we got Kelly from Texas. This is going to be a fun one. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Show Kelly some love. Hit that like button as well. Back to you, Code.
Awesome, guys. And yes, as Gabe said, we are so excited to have Kelly Bryant on the show today. Now, for those of you who don't know Kelly, she is a woman who brings so much inspiration to people. She has just teaching people how to achieve their dreams to the next level by simply just not quitting. And she is also one of the top distributors in her respected company and around the world. She's inspired hundreds and thousands of people. And we believe that she is going to inspire thousands and thousands more because she is also a co-author of a phenomenal book called Momentum Makers. And so I just couldn't say enough about the woman. So how's everything going?
Hey, I'm doing well. Everything's going fantastic.
We really appreciate you coming on the show and just kind of sharing your wisdom, especially within this industry and personal growth with this industry. And but before we get started, we like to kind of start off with a fun little icebreaker where we ask you 5 completely random questions that really have nothing to do with the rest of the interview. So
That's awesome.
Are you down with that?
I'm down with it.
All right, awesome. So we'll start with the first one. So if you were allowed only one of these for the rest of your life, would you have coffee or wine?
Definitely wine, because I do not drink coffee at all, and I think it smells like a skunk.
Oh my
What kind of
gosh.
coffee do you have in Texas? My goodness.
Really?
No, I'm just like, I cannot do it. I don't like it brewed. I don't like the
What?
nothing.
What?
Wow.
Yeah, and my friends will say like, "Oh, you should try coffee ice cream," and I'm like, "Okay, yeah, that sounds good." And I try it. I'm like, "No, it's bad."
Even my dad, who hates coffee, loves coffee ice cream. So like that's special, man.
Yeah.
That's amazing. But I respect
Literally-
the wine.
I'm all about wine.
That's fair. If you were able to spend a day with anyone in the world, who would it be?
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's always a hard one.
Isn't it?
You know, when you have a parent that's gone, that's really always going to be, I feel like personally, your first choice. And I lost my mom about 14, 15 years ago. So she absolutely would be the first person I'd love to spend some more time with.
That's
Fantastic.
awesome. That's super cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, so this next one's a very super random one. All right, so
Okay.
if you had a chance to either swim with the Little Mermaid or fly with Peter Pan, which one would you choose?
I love that question.
I would fly with
Fly.
Peter Pan.
Yeah, there you go. All the way to Neverland.
All the way to Netherlands, stopping along the way.
Yes.
Exactly. Get the whole experience.
Absolutely.
What is your favorite and least favorite food?
Oh, ooh.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. I like sushi, so that might be one of my favorite ones. Some really
Nice.
good, incredible sushi. And then I can't think of many things that I don't like, so I would probably have to say Brussels sprouts.
Ooh, yeah.
Fair enough. Classic answer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is good. All right, and then the last one would be, so what was the last thing that you bought? Can you remember?
Yes, I actually, you're going to laugh and think I'm a geek, but I bought a foot pedal that you can use with Zoom.
Not what? That's
Wait,
awesome.
explain what this is.
Yeah,
I need
what
to
is
know
that?
this.
Well, it's like if you're watching somebody on Zoom, you have a foot pedal so you can start and stop the audio in the Zoom.
Oh, that's sweet.
That's really
That's
interesting.
so
I think
simple.
that's
Right?
super
For real. We definitely
Yeah.
need one.
Thanks so much for the icebreakers. So let's hop right into your story. We want to learn a little bit about you. So can you just kind of share your story and how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, I know it's just that's like a big, long question, but I, by trade, am a court reporter. So I've done that for, I guess it's going on almost 30 something years now. And it was a profession. I grew up as a daddy's girl, and my dad is a court reporter. So that's all I ever wanted to do when I grew up, was to be a court reporter. So I went out and, accomplished that. And one of the things he told me to do was like, hey, why don't you go get a 4-year degree before you go into court reporting?
Yeah.
So right as I was coming out of college, I was like, okay, I mean, I guess. And so I took off to, one of the Big 12 schools, and I was there for a year, and I was like, this is crazy. Like, I need to go to court reporting school because it's more like technical school. So I said, I'm over it. I'm going to go to court reporting school. And so that's, what I went to go do. And I think back now over the years, and I'm like, what I didn't know at that time was it's a very demanding, time-consuming, detail-oriented job that you have very little time. So it was a profession that served me well for a very long time, many years, really until I became a mom. And all of a sudden I was like, wait, what? What am I doing here? And so I had really dreamed about being a mom. It just never happened. And one day was kind of always the first one in the daycare and the last one being picked up. And it's just me and my son. And I have some family, a little bit of family around, and they would help me on occasions. But, I would be trying to leave downtown Dallas at, 5 o'clock and get to the daycare that closed at 6:30. And you guys know, if you live in big cities, that can happen or not happen just because of traffic. So it was stressful. And I just was like, over time I thought, this is not how I wanted to be a mother. It was like, I had dreams of being a mother, and this was not it. I felt like, one of the things I said was like, I felt like I'm failing him as a mother. And it just was like, this is not fair. So at that time, I kind of had something pop in my head one day, and I was like, wait a minute. Let's see, by the time he is supposed to be going to college, and I probably really should be retiring. And at that point, over time, just because it was like, I was like in a freelance world, so I never knew when I was going to get paid. I might get paid one day and, not paid for 2, 3, 4, 5 months. And it just like, you never knew when the money was going to come in. So although it was a good profession, it just was difficult to make any sort of, savings or anything like that. So when I started thinking that, I was like, this is crazy, because I have nothing. I don't have savings. I didn't have any college put away from him at all. So, but, I just kind of had to push that thought in the back of my mind, because, all I could do was what I knew how to do.
Yeah.
So then it really wasn't until maybe a year or two later, I had network marketing drop in my lap, a product. And a great friend of mine told me about it. I did know about network marketing, but I had never been in its presence. I just was like, oh, okay. And so she basically gave me the product. I loved it. She loved it. And she said, I am going to sell this. And I loved it so much. I was like, me too. And I didn't even know what that meant. I was like, I don't know how, but like, yeah, I'm going to sell it. So anyways, we went off about in that business, and I built kind of a small little team, had great leadership in that profession. In that company. But about a year and a half later is when I had, this bigger opportunity drop in my lap. I was prepared and ready, and I understood what it meant, and I understood the value of this opportunity. So even though I was busy, I was still court reporting. I was still single mom. I still had no more time left. When my friend brought it to me, it took me a day or so to say yes, because I literally was like, I don't think I could squeeze another thing in.
Yeah, man.
Ever. But when I really came to understand like the value that was sitting in front of me, I was like, I'm just going to go for this opportunity, and I'm going to put the money in. And I literally was like, if I lose it, I lose it. And if I win, I win.
Wow. Yeah.
That took the pressure off of it just being a massive success. I'm just like, let me just give it a try here. So that's kind of how I started off into the network marketing world. And literally sort of time went by, and I always tell everybody I really built my business with court reporting. So I basically slept hardly any, maybe 3 hours a night. So this is very, very funny, but I would be sitting there like a boring transcript, like, oh, I've already heard this 17 times, So I was like, I'm getting sleepy. And I would get on Facebook and start looking around, and I would wake up and I would I can work for another hour now. And so that's how I tell everybody, I fit it in the nooks and crannies because I literally did not have any more time to offer, but I just was desperate. And when I first said yes to this, it was really the first time that I thought, this is the first time I can leave a legacy. I can dream about leaving a legacy for my son.
Yeah. That's so cool. That's so awesome.
So that's what I began building.
Dang.
Wow.
And do you think that was there much of a change when it came from, oh, this is like a great opportunity to, oh, this is something where I could leave a legacy for my son? Was there much of a change in how you approached it when that switch happened?
I literally believe that when you have that desperation and then you understand that the value and what the possibility of just dreaming big, that it was real. And I knew who I was as a person. I knew that I was a worker. I didn't mind working. I didn't mind putting the effort in. But what it did help me get through was the days that it was hard. Through some of the no's and through some of the times that you had to really just lead yourself, because this is your business, but you're already busy. And with my son, he was 6 when I first started. So we would run out to meetings. I mean, I would come home, grab him from the daycare or and then we would run out and maybe go do a meeting. And there were days he cried. And I just thank the Lord. I had heard a comment from somebody that said, don't let your kids be the reason why you don't do this business. Let it be the reason why you do.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Come on.
That carried me through the tears, because it was difficult when he cried and he didn't want to be there and he wanted to be at home. And I knew he didn't understand what was happening. And so I just had to have those nerves of steel and just broke my heart to hear him cry. But I just had to be this is, this is the reason why I'm doing this. You're the reason why I'm doing this. You're the reason why I'm doing this. And those kind of things were the things that really pushed me through to really go through times to go for my dreams.
Wow. So right on the back of that, what is some advice that you have? Because your story is obviously so inspirational, working constantly, single parent, raising this kid, building your life. What is some advice you have for other single parents who are maybe in that same boat where you first started?
Yeah. And I think you just have to, it just, the desperation, if you're a parent that feels that desperation of, I need something more to provide for my children, I think you have to say yes. And you can't be afraid to say yes. And you can't be, like I said, I bought into this business not even knowing if the business was going to work, because it was a newly launching company. So I literally had to just make some quick decisions. I'm a business person. So I made a business decision, not because we didn't have the products. We didn't have really anything, but here's what potentially is going to be here in our hands. So I think if you've got a business mind at all, you look at this as a business and you treat it as a business, and that's what will help you be a success in this business. And then just your children. I mean, you have to be that parent that just says, I know it's hard, but here's where we're going to dream. Here's what we're going to do. And, along the way with me, what I did with my son, once he kind of got a little bit older, because now I've been with this company for 6 years, but I include him in. I'm just like, hey, we just had a new team member that joined with us, and I'll tell them their name, and I'll say, here's how they live. And I'll just, and so thankfully he's kind of grown up with the owners of the company. And so, I'll say, hey, Mr. So-and-so is, we're going to go watch this, or we're going to go do that. And I just give him that little part of ownership. And I think that's really good advice, because it helps them have a piece of the pie, as far as when they're trying to decide, why are you not here with me right this moment?
Wow. Yeah, no, that's so good. And first of all, I got to say, you are an amazing mother. I mean, I hardly know you, but oh my goodness, you were just a
Oh,
phenomenal
thank
mother.
you so much. I appreciate it.
Yes, and you really hit home with me in the book, in part of your story. And you you've talked a lot about this already so far, and that really is. I just want to touch more on it too, because when I was in the industry, one of the hard things that I dealt with was my reason why getting in the way of why I should be pursuing my business. Now, everyone has a different reason why. So my question is how did you go about, using the reason why to motivate you to pursue your business, but at the same time, not let it distract you from your business?
I think it was just more, when you've done business for a long time and like every day you make decisions.
Yeah.
And so for me in my profession as a court reporter, there's a lot of like start, stop, stop. Something else comes in. And so that's kind of how I have done business for so long. So it's easier for me to just know what my why is, and then also know what I want to provide for my child, know the time that I want to spend. And then just with God's grace, you get that wisdom to learn how to pull them in the business and also go play with them when it's time to play. Because I think over time, just being a parent, the things, when you want to be a parent so bad, the things that are like, that stick with you are when your child wants to play, stop and play. Now, can you do that all the time? No, you can't. But you make those moments where there's like, all of a sudden it hits me like he in 10 years he'll be gone. Stop and play.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm providing a life for him. So I also have to pull back into my business and do my business when it's important. So I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I want to take this and get a little more personal. You seem amazing. Mm-hmm. I want to get to know you better. So when was the last time you were out of your comfort zone?
Something in front of me right now that I'm going to have to get out of my comfort zone because I'm fixing to reach out to somebody.
Yeah.
That's on my list. Mm-hmm. And so that is something that I'm like, okay, this is the time. It's time to do it. So I'm talking myself into this. Yeah. And I didn't jump on it the first second because I really am, mm-hmm. I feel like about timing, mm-hmm. and my life has been about timing. So I always laugh because one of my friends calls me like, she teases me because she says like, I'm cool as a cucumber. And so because like with this business, when you do network marketing, you can't just go and vomit on people. Like you can't just throw up your business. Right. Yeah, right. So I just let my gut guide me, but also knowing that this is something that I'm going to do. I'm going to reach out to this person. And so I'm just kind of like waiting for that right time. But yeah, I can't think of anything before, but this is in front of me right now.
Wow,
and
we got a future one coming. Yeah. That's awesome. Present. That's super cool. Wow.
Yes.
Now, obviously, I want to just remind everybody, to read this book. This is Momentum Makers. We've talked about it before on the show, but this has some phenomenal writers, and we are now speaking with a very special one. And you've written such a beautiful chapter in this book. And one of the things that I really enjoyed reading in this chapter was the story of you being able to go on this 10,000-mile journey. And do you mind just kind of sharing the beauty and just that whole experience? And it just seems like everything was totally worth it just by being able to go on that kind of a journey. Yeah,
it really was. And so what had happened was, again, like I said, like my son, I had worked his first 6 years of his life, just literally sleeping about 3 hours a night. Mm-hmm. And it was like Saturday, Sunday nights, weekends, holidays, just the stress of the profession that I was in. So our company at their very first convention basically said, hey, if you show up for the convention, your name goes in a drawing. And so show up. So I'm like, of course I was going to go. And I had read a book that was called, I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's called like, What If It All Goes Right? And it's kind of amazing, but it was something I got out of that book. And so I showed up at the convention, and the night before the drawing, or maybe the day of, I went downstairs to go look at the Cadillac. And all of a sudden, but I had also written on my vision board, win the Cadillac.
Yeah.
So, but I went downstairs on that Saturday before the drawing, or maybe the night before, it doesn't matter. But I all of a sudden was like, wait a minute, because there's like 900 people here. So I started having this conversation in my head, like, there's 900 people here. That's a lot of people in the drawing. So I basically just had to force myself to walk away, because I knew, like, don't do that. Don't talk yourself out of this.
Yeah.
Because I walked away saying, well, what if it all goes right? And what if I win this Cadillac?
Right.
So that ended up happening. They just pulled my name out of a big hopper up on stage, and I actually won a Cadillac. But the funny part that was, I was just talking to my dad about this last night, and the car I had before was an absolute lemon. And it was like, I bought it certified used, like a week after I drove it off the lot, it broke down, and my son's like 3. And I'm like, I can't have this. Holy smokes. It was, I cannot express to you what a lemon this car was. So to just have this incredible, amazing car. And then I had hit a really great rank a few months later after I won the car. So I just was like, I'm taking the whole summer off.
Yeah.
Because
so awesome.
I've never gotten to spend the summer with my son. Never. And so just, again, by the grace of God, I had a team all over. So I love to go to California. So I was like, okay, the first thing we're going is right out to California. So we stayed there 3 weeks, and then we just went all the way across the Midwest, and I stayed with different people on my team. So I went to Kentucky and New York and Georgia, and I was trying to make it down to Miami, but that didn't happen because school was starting. So literally we spent a week at a time, just really traveling the world. And it was an absolute joy to really just have the time to get to know my son.
That is amazing.
So cool.
Absolutely amazing. Thank you for sharing.
You bet.
In the book, so in Momentum Makers, like Cody was talking about, at the end of your chapter, there were these 3 summaries that I'd just love for you to be able to touch on if you could. The first one was this thing: one small risk can build a lifetime. So yes. Can you touch on that? Can you explain that a little more?
Yeah, and I think you know how easy it would have been for me to just say, I am already busy. Yeah. I can't take another second of another day. But for me, I had to, because there was so much laying here on our plate, and the owners of our company were so incredible. And they were like, I want you to dream bigger than you've ever dreamt before. Yeah. And like, he's like, I want y'all to be making $1 million a month. And so that was like so outrageous to me at the time. And I just, but I was willing to risk it. I was just like, I will do anything for my son, anything to give him a life that I wanted to provide for him. And and it wasn't just all about money, but it was also about time. Yeah. And so what this allowed me to do is to then go and be a stay-at-home mom with my son. So you have to take those risks, because really at the end of the day, what's that saying? Like you regret the things that you didn't do. And I never, ever want to be in a place of regret just because I'm afraid, or just because I feel I'm busy. Like my dad raised me to broaden my horizons. And that's a saying in our family. He's like, broaden your horizons. Yeah. And so I think that was him speaking to my soul that moment when I said yes, because you have to say yes to find out the glorious things in life.
Yeah, totally. Oh, that's so awesome. And the second point that was made was that gratitude is the greatest gift that keeps on giving. Do you mind kind of sharing a little bit more about, the importance of gratitude, and what does that mean to you to be giving gratitude?
Gratitude, that is something that I'm always a giving person, but I never really thought about gratitude in the way of like you stop and think and pay attention to it. It was just something that you kind of did. But because in this profession, and it's not even with our company, but in a lot of network marketing companies, you learn to be a better person.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like, for you to be a success, you have to have personal development, and your paycheck depends on your personal development.
Wow.
And so along the way, you learn about gratitude and you learn how important it is to give back. And for me personally, it's like when God gives you a lot, then you give back. And like, that's our heart. That's my son's heart. I mean, thank gosh for this business, because it's made me be more aware of just being having gratitude and being grateful for people and opportunities. And, just like I'm absolutely grateful to be sitting here right now with you guys. And I think really at the end of the day, it goes back to that law of attraction. And so you just go in this circle. Once you learn about gratitude and you're just like, holy smokes, like I have so much to be grateful for. And that makes you a better person, a more loving, aligned person.
Yeah.
And in fact, it's like, you're probably going to see these backwards, but these
Oh,
are
gratitude.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
You got it.
I have 2 of them.
Brilliant. That is brilliant.
That I keep right here on my desk. So.
And it's so hard too, because I feel like so many people get so caught up in all of the hardships and all of the, we're in a pandemic right now.
Sure.
We got all this crazy stuff. It's so hard to be grateful when things are being taken away from you. So
yes.
You obviously are a phenomenally grateful person. How do you practice that,
I put a lot of effort into it, because I think really at the end of the day, it really does make you a better person. And for me, it's I'm about vibration.
Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So then like the highest vibration is love and the lowest vibration is hate. And so every day I wake up trying to be up closer to the highest vibration, which is love.
Yeah, that's good.
And that then allows you to have that gratitude, right? So when you measure, you've got the measuring stick and the emotional scale of, where you should be, it totally, you're able to, when you get out of that, like that alignment and that vibration, it's like, okay, I know where I should be and I'm not there. So I'm going to strive to get there. It's like a minute, hourly, second along the way every day. It's not something you get and it's like a high school, diploma.
Yeah, exactly.
With you forever. No, it's work. It takes work, but that work is so worth it.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's great.
Love
That's
it.
good.
And I want my son to know that. I want that. That's who I want my son to grow up to be.
Yeah. He's on his way.
Yeah.
For sure.
And speaking of your son, so the third one is that need can be the greatest motivator. And obviously your son and building that life was such a strong part of need and something you talked about earlier. So how do you help your team members find their need?
Yeah, I think the very, 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 very best part of this business is the lifetime friendships that you have with people that you would have never, ever met.
Yeah.
And so, when you're talking about like running across people's lives and then you're getting to help change somebody's lives and they see their lives changing, it makes it very easy for them to go want to change and help change other people's lives. So when I'm approaching this business, and I like to teach this to my team, it's some people go like, I don't want to sell.
Yeah.
I don't want to be pushy. And for me personally, and what I like to talk to my team about, and they absolutely know this, is when I approach somebody, I feel like I'm blessing them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it was such a tremendous blessing for me that I never, ever look at like I'm trying to sell somebody or I'm trying to recruit somebody, because at the end of the day, the tremendous blessing it was for me.
Yeah.
And I'm looking for those people that are looking for me so that I can bless them.
Wow.
Come on.
That's so good. There's no wonder that you have very little times that you're out of your comfort zone, it seems, because you like understand the value and the blessing that you bring to people, which, it's hard to be out of your comfort zone when you're in that kind of a state of mind. So, my goodness. Well, we unfortunately only have 2 more questions for you, and I wish that we could talk for longer.
Oh, of course.
So much fun. But the last 2 are a little different from the rest. And, so this first of the last 2 is, if you were on your deathbed, and I don't mean to sound morbid, but if you were on your deathbed, what would the final piece of advice be that you would give those around you?
And I think I can't help but just relate it to the fact that, that this world vibrates and we all vibrate and our cells vibrate and trees vibrate.
Mhm.
And at the end of the day, if you can stay in love and you know that scale and that emotional piece is in everything in the middle,
Yeah.
every single day you can gauge where you are.
Yeah.
And I think that you should take that time and gauge where you are, because our feelings are what guide us.
Yeah.
And so the way you stay in happiness and gratitude and peaceful and love and joy is being aware of how you're feeling.
Mm,
That's good.
mm.
That's so good. I
Thank you.
appreciate that
Fantastic.
answer.
I love that. And
Thank you.
the final question, it's simply, what's next? Where are you headed? What's on the horizon for you?
Well, I absolutely love what I'm doing.
Mhm.
I am so honored and thrilled to have been a part of this book with Jordan, and now to be a part of this with you guys. It's been a pleasure meeting you guys. And so really at the end of the day, I can see myself doing this, coaching, speaking, talking, never, ever getting away from the company that I love absolutely the most. But anything I can do personally to motivate somebody, to help somebody and bless them, it is my absolute joy. And I can't even express the joy that it brings me to just be able to help anybody in any level understand that they can come in here and do this if you just want to say yes.
Come on.
That's
Come on.
awesome. That's great. And, I want to remind all of the people that are listening to this podcast or watching this podcast to follow Kelly Bryant. We're going to make sure that we leave all of your information
Thank
in the
you.
description below. Please pick up this book, Momentum Makers. It will change
Yes.
your life, especially if you are in the network marketing industry or looking
Yes.
into the network marketing industry. And, we just want to give you so much gratitude. We just thank you so much. And we're so grateful for you coming on the show and being a part of this with us.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much. See ya.
Bye-bye.